A fireman comes home and says to his wife, "At the station, we have a great system. Bell 1 means we put on our gear. Bell 2 means we slide down the pole. Bell 3 means we're on the truck and off to the fire. So from now on, let's use that system at home. Bell 1, you get undressed. Bell 2, jump in bed. Bell 3, we get things going." That night, he comes home and shouts, "Bell 1." His wife undresses. Bell 2, she jumps into bed. Bell, they start getting busy. 2 minutes in, she shouts, "Belf." He pauses and asks, "Belf, what's that?" She replies, "More hose. You're nowhere near the fire." A lady comes home from her doctor's appointment grinning from ear to ear. Her husband asks, "Why are you so happy?" The wife says, "The doctor told me that for a 45-year-old woman, I have the breasts of an 18-year-old. "Oh yeah?" quipped her husband. "What did he say about your 45-year-old ass?" She said, "Your name never came up in the conversation." A lady calls her butler into her room and says, "Jeeves, take off my dress." He casually says, "Yes, madam," and removes the dress. Then she says, "Jeeves, take off my underwear." Again he says, "Yes, madam," and removes the undergarment. She then says, "Jeeves, take off my bra." Again, with no hesitation, he says, "Yes, madam," and removes the bra. Then she says, "Now out of my sight. If I ever catch you wearing my clothes again, you're fired." While evacuating residents from a flooded area, a firefighter was carrying an elderly woman who had difficulty moving. As they exchanged a few words, the firefighter smiled brightly. The old lady then said, "I think this is the first time since my wedding that I've been in the arms of such a wonderful man. I'm so happy." A blonde was playing Trivial Pursuit one night. It was her turn. She rolled the dice and she landed on science and nature. Her question was, if you are in a vacuum and someone calls your name, can you hear it? She thought for a time and then asked, "Is it on or off?" A girl was visiting her blonde friend who had acquired 2 new dogs and asked her what their names were. The blonde responded by saying that one was named Rolex and one was named Timex. Her friend said, "Whoever heard of someone naming dogs like that?" "Hello," answered the blonde. "They're watchdogs." An old lady walks into a bank with $1 million. Old lady, "I'd like to make a deposit of $1 million. Bank assistant, "That's a lot of money. How did you get them?" Old lady, "I think I should speak to the managing bank director since it's such a large cash deposit." Bank assistant, "Well, considering that it is $1 million, you are probably right." The bank assistant calls for the fashion director, and after explaining the situation, the bank director arrives. Bank director, "So my assistant tells me you want to deposit $1 million. May I ask how you came in possession of $1 million? Old lady, "Naturally, I earn them by betting. I actually make a living from betting." Bank director, "I find that hard to believe. What kind of betting do you do?" Old lady, "All sorts of betting. As an example, I'll bet you $25,000 that your balls are squared." Bank director, Um, I don't, um, well, under normal circumstances, I don't bet, but this seems so absurd that I'll agree." So the bank director and the old lady shake hand, and the director asks how and when this bet should be settled. Old lady, "Well, considering that this is a bet of $25,000, I'd like my lawyer to be present and when I do the inspection. So how about we meet with my lawyer tomorrow morning?" The bank director agrees to this, happy to have earned $25,000 this easy. Next morning, he walks into the office of the locally well-respected lawyer and greets the old lady. Not wanting to waste his time, he unbuttons his pants, pulls down his underwear, and as the old lady lifts his balls up for inspection, he notices the lawyer banging his head against the wall repeatedly. Quite startled, the bank director looks at the old lady and asks bank director, "What is going on with your lawyer?" Old lady grinning, "Well, Yesterday, I bet him $1 million that within 24 hours, I would be holding the balls of the managing bank director in my very hand. A couple had two little boys, ages 8 and 10, who were always causing trouble. If something went wrong in town, chances were these two were involved. At their wits' end, the parents heard about a clergyman who was known for straightening kids out. Desperate, they asked for his help. The clergyman agreed, but said he'd talk to the boys one at a time. First up was the 8-year-old. The clergyman sat him down, looked him straight in the eye, and asked sternly, "Where is God?" The boy said nothing. So the clergyman asked again, even louder, "Where is God?" Still, the boy sat frozen in silence. Now frustrated, the clergyman leaned in, pointed a finger, and boomed, "Where is God?" At that moment, the boy jumped up, bolted out of the room, ran all the way home, and locked himself in the closet. His older brother found him and asked, "What happened?" The younger brother whispered, "We are in big trouble. They can't find God, and they think we did it." An attorney called and asked to speak to his client, a wealthy art collector. He said, "Matt, I have some good news and I have some bad news." The art collector replied, "You know, I've had an absolutely rotten day, Jack, so let's hear the good news first." The lawyer said, "Well, I met with your wife today, and she informed me that she has invested only $5,000 in two very nice pictures that she thinks will bring somewhere between $15 to $20 million, and I think she might be right." Matt perked up and replied, "Amazing. My wife is such a brilliant businesswoman, isn't she? You've just made my day. Now, I know I can handle the bad news. What is it?" "The pictures are of you and your secretary." A lady goes to the bar on a cruise ship and orders a scotch with 2 drops of water. As the bartender gives her the drink, she says, "I'm on this cruise to celebrate my 80th birthday, and it's today." The bartender says, "Well, since it's your birthday, I'll buy you a drink. In fact, this one is on me." As the woman finishes her drink, the woman to her right says, "I would like to buy you a drink too." The old woman says, "Thank you. Bartender, I want a scotch with 2 drops of water." "Coming up," says the bartender. As she finishes that drink, the man to her left says, "I would like to buy you one too." The old woman says, "Thank you. Bartender, I want another scotch with 2 drops of water." "Coming right up," the bartender says. As he gives her the drink, he says, "Ma'am, I'm dying of curiosity. Why the scotch with only 2 drops of water?" The old woman replies, "Sonny, when you're my age, you've learned how to hold your liquor. Water, however, is a whole other issue." Every Saturday morning, Grandpa Walt found himself babysitting his 3 grandchildren. All boys. The kids always wanted to play war, and Grandpa somehow always got coaxed into the game. His daughter came to pick up the kids early one Saturday and witnessed Grandpa take a fake shot as Jason pointed a toy gun and yelled, "Bang!" Grandpa slumped to the floor and stayed there motionless. The daughter rushed over to see if he was all right. Grandpa opened one eye and whispered, "Tss, I always do this. It's the only chance I get to rest." 2 elderly couples were enjoying friendly conversation when one of the men asked the other, "Fred, how was the memory clinic you went to last month?" "Outstanding," Fred replied. "They taught us all the latest psychological techniques, visualization, association, etc. It was great." "That's great! And what was the name of the clinic?" Fred went blank. He thought and thought, but couldn't remember. Then a smile broke across his face, and he asked, "What do you call that flower with the long stem and thorns?" "You mean a rose?" "Yes, that's it." He turned to his wife. "Rose, what was the name of that memory clinic?" 30 years together, the couple's 3 kids, all successful, agreed to a Sunday dinner in their honor. "Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad," gushed son number 1. Sorry I'm running late. I had an emergency with a patient at the hospital. You know how it is, and I didn't have time to get you a gift. Not to worry, said the father. The important thing is that we're all together today. Son number 2 arrived. You and Mom look great, Dad. I just flew in from LA between depositions and didn't have time to shop for you. It's nothing, said the father. We're glad you were able to come. Just then, the daughter arrived. Hello, and happy anniversary. Sorry, but my boss is sending me out of town, and I was really busy packing, so I didn't have time to get you anything. After they had finished dessert, the father said, There's something your mother and I have wanted to tell you for a long time. You see, we were really poor, but we managed to send each of you to college. Through the years, your mother and I knew we loved each other very much, but we just never found the time to get married. The 3 children gasped and said almost in unison, What? You mean we're bastards? Yep, said the father. Cheap ones, too. A husband and wife are strolling down the high street when the wife stops dead in her tracks, eyes glued to a stunning diamond necklace sparkling in a jewelry store window. Go inside with me, she pleads, tugging his arm. I just want to look. They head in. She tries it on, spins around dramatically, clearly head over heels. The husband sighs. He can't afford it right now. But one day, he says, that necklace will be yours. Fast forward a month. The wife's home, pacing like a detective with a hunch. It's late. No husband. She grabs her phone and dials with fury. Where are you? She snaps. His voice comes through, calm and smooth. Baby, remember that jewelry store where you saw the diamond necklace and absolutely fell in love with it? Her face softens instantly. Of course I do, she says, heart fluttering. And you said it would be mine someday. Exactly, he says. Well, I'm in the bar right next to that shop. 2 90-year-old men, Mo and Sam, have been friends all their lives. It seems that Sam is dying of cancer, and Mo comes to visit him every day. Sam, says Mo, oh, you know how we have both loved baseball all our lives, and how we played minor league ball together for so many work hours. Sam, you have to do me one favor. When you get to heaven, and I know you will go to heaven, somehow you've got to let me know if there's baseball in heaven. Sam looks up at Mo from his deathbed and says, Mo, you've been my best friend many years. This favor, if it is at all possible, I'll do for you. And shortly after that, Sam passes on. It is midnight a couple of nights later. Mo is sound asleep when he is awakened by a blinding flash of white light and a voice calls out to him, Mo, Mo. Who is it? Says Mo, sitting up suddenly. Who is it? Mo, it's me, Sam. Come on. You're not Sam. Sam just died. I'm telling you, insists the voice. It's me, Sam. Sam? Is that you? Where are you? I'm in heaven, says Sam. Oh, and I've got to tell you, I've got really good news and a little bad news. So, tell me the good news first, says Mo. The good news, says Sam, that there is baseball in heaven. Better yet, all our old buddies who've gone before us are there. Better yet, we're all young men again. Better yet, it's always springtime and it never rains or snows. And best of all, we can play baseball all we want, and we never get tired. Really? Says Mo. Oh, that is fantastic. Wonderful beyond my wildest dreams. But what's the bad news? You're pitching next Tuesday. There was a young fellow who was quite inventive and was always trying out new things. One day he thought he'd see just how fast a bicycle could go before it became uncontrollable. He asked his friend, who owned an old Chevelle, if he could tie his bike to the bumper of his car to test his theory. His friend said, Sure. So the young man tied his bike to the back of the car and said to his friend, I'll ring my bike bell once if I want you to go faster. twice if I want you to maintain speed, and repeatedly if I want you to slow down. With that, off they went. Things were going pretty well, with the car driver slowly speeding up to well over 60 mph. The young fellow on the bike was handling the speed just fine. But all of a sudden, an orange Camaro came up beside them, and before you knew it, the fellow driving the Mustang forgot all about the fellow on the bike and took to drag racing the Chevelle. A little further down the road sat Officer John in his police cruiser, radar gun at the ready. He heard the two cars before his radar flashed 105 abami. He called into headquarters on his radio. Hey, you guys aren't going to believe this, but there's a Camaro and a Chevelle racing out here on Highway 3, and there's a guy on a bike ringing his bell and waving his arms trying to pass them. A man was going through a rough patch in his marriage. He and his wife weren't speaking at all, and the house felt cold and quiet. Feeling lonely, he thought maybe a pet would help bring some company into his life. He stopped by a pet store that specialized in parrots. As he walked past the cages, one parrot caught his eye. This one didn't have any feet. Curious, the man said out loud, "How does he stay on the perch?" The parrot looked at him and said, "I manage just fine, thank you very much." The man was startled. "You can talk?" "Of course I can talk," said the parrot. "I'm a highly intelligent bird. I can discuss news, sports, politics, just about anything." The man said, "Wow, you sound like exactly what I need." The parrot leaned in and said quietly, "Look, because of my unique condition, most people pass me by. But if you offer the owner 20, I bet he'll let me go." Sure enough, the man offered $20, and the parrot became his new roommate. For the next few months, everything was great. The man would come home from work, and the parrot would fill him in on all the day's headlines: who won the game, what the president said, what was going on at the Vatican. He was better than cable news. But one day the man came home, and the parrot said, "Close the door. We need to talk." The man asked, "What is it?" The parrot said, "The mailman came by today. Your wife answered the door in a silky row, and he gave her a kiss." The man blinked. "A kiss? Maybe just a friendly one." The parrot nodded. "Maybe." But then he gave her a little hug. The man leaned in. "And then?" The parrot sighed. "That's as far as I got. I got so worked up I lost my balance and fell off the perch." As my grandfather's birthday approaches, I find myself reminiscing about the long walks, the special trips, and the weekends spent with him. He always had the best advice, and even though he passed away when I was young, the wisdom he shared still resonates with me. I often think about one particular piece of advice he gave me when I was 12. We were sitting on a park bench, eating sandwiches and watching families enjoy the day. He turned to me and said, "One day, you'll find a woman and start your own family." I nodded, waiting for the usual deep words of wisdom. Then he added, "And son, make sure you marry a woman with small hands." I was curious. "Why's that, Grandpa?" His reply, "It makes your pecker look bigger." Ah, Grandpa, always keeping it real with the best and funniest advice. A man arrives at the pearly gates and notices a group of rich people in expensive suits fighting over a needle. One guy yells, "It's my turn," while another in a black baseball cap jabs himself repeatedly, shouting, "Ow, ow, ow!" The man turns to St. Peter and asks, "What's going on over there?" St. Peter sighs. "Oh, that's just the world's richest trying to get into heaven." Confused, the man points at the needle. "Okay, but what are they doing with that?" St. Peter shrugs. "You know Mark 10:25, right? Easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven." "Sure, but where's the camel?" St. Peter smirks. "We ran out. This seemed easier." An airplane was about to crash. There were 5 passengers on board, but only 4 parachutes. The first passenger said, "I am President Obama." the chosen one. The world needs me. I can't afford to die. So he took the first parachute and left the plane. The second passenger. Tony Abbott said, I am the Prime Minister of Australia, and I am the smartest man in Australian history, so Australia's people don't want me to die. He took the second parachute and jumped out of the plane. The third passenger, John Kerry, said, I'm a senator and a decorated war hero from the Army of the United States of America. He grabbed the parachute next to him and jumped. The fourth passenger, ex-President George W. Bush, said to the fifth passenger, a 10-year-old schoolgirl, I have lived a full life and served my country the best I could. I will sacrifice my life and let you have the last parachute. The little girl said, That's okay, Mr. President. There's a parachute left for you. Australia's smartest man just took my school bag. A police officer pulled over a car for speeding and approached the driver's side window. Officer, Sir, may I see your driver's license? Driver, I don't have one. Got suspended after my 5th DUI. The officer narrowed his eyes. Not good. Officer, all right. Can I see the registration for this vehicle? Driver, not my car. I stole it. The officer stiffened. This just got worse. Officer, you're telling me this car is stolen? Driver, yep, but now that you mention it, I think I saw the owner's registration in the glove box, right next to my gun. Officer, there's a gun in the glove box? Driver, yes, sir, that's where I put it after I shot the woman who owns this car and stuffed her in the trunk. The officer backed away slowly and immediately called for backup. Within minutes, multiple squad cars arrived, lights flashing. The captain himself stepped out, approaching cautiously. Captain, sir, may I see your license? The driver shrugged and handed it over. It was valid. Captain, and this car? Who does it belong to? Driver, me, of course. Here's the registration. The captain examined the papers. Everything checked out. Captain, would you mind opening the glove box? We were told there's a gun in there. Driver, sure, but there's no gun. The officer opened the glove box. Empty. Captain, all right. Now, can you pop the trunk? The driver complied. The trunk swung open. Completely empty. No sign of a body. The captain turned to his officer, arms crossed. I don't get it. This officer said you told him, you didn't have a license, stole the car, had a gun in the glove box, and a body in the trunk. The driver shook his head and smirked. Driver, yeah, and I bet the liar told you I was speeding too.